started. Sorry about that. Someone was messaging. Anywho, so I'm going to go ahead and come into this. This is kind of a continuation of the stream that I had previous. I've had some time to calm down, so shouldn't be RIP headphone users the entire time. But I want to go ahead and I actually want to talk about kind of the grand scheme of things, because I actually went through and watched a video that Dilgaf sent to me, and yeah, the person that was talking there, you know, was pretty much saying the same things that I did, but just minus the unbridled rage. And they actually brought something up that it's not just Google that's doing this sort of shit. It's actually a lot of different companies. So let's see now. Right now, my focus is Google. The reason why I'm going to focus on Google and not so much, you know, mention other companies doing this is because Google is in kind of a unique position as compared to these other companies. Google has actually a lot of social power. You know, that if they censor something, it vastly reduces the odds that someone's going to be able to find it. Google is the most used search engine. So if they're censoring things, whether it be from the government telling them to censor something, or another government telling them to censor someone, or their butt buddies in the SJW community telling them to censor something, it doesn't fucking matter. It's going to have a major fucking effect. Not just on YouTube, but as far as just flow of information as a whole. Now, this is actually a very dangerous concept, because if people are going to go ahead and say that it's all right for Google to do this, I'm pretty much willing to guarantee those same people are the ones that are saying that it's perfectly acceptable for the mainstream media to continue to put out stories that they know that they can't substantiate, regardless of who it hurts, regardless of whose life it destroys. And then the only recourse against them is to get them to put a little fine print update down on their website that that story had been debunked, or that it was untrue or something like that, and never mention it again. You know, way down at the bottom where no one's going to fucking see it, and in the smallest fucking font possible. Transparency. Transparency is what people are saying needs to be in place. And the thing is Google may be a private company, but it does receive government funding. It also has an obligation for that free flow of information, because the thing is at this point, they are one of the primary ways that people obtain information. And that was their goal. They have met that goal, and now they are abusing the power that comes along with it. Censoring people based off of ideological views is never a good thing. Now, I can see sitting there and taking down videos that are saying, oh, you know, you should go out and attack this group, or this group needs to fucking die, or something like that. All right, I can see that. But sitting there and taking down videos, or hiding videos, or putting them into a limited state, as they're saying, just because their little butt buddies disagree with what's said? Really? Now, I want to go ahead and ask, in the past, when governments have done this, were these same people cheering that on? No, they weren't, because they were on the receiving end of it. Now, these very same people are calling for it to be done. These very same people are linked to groups that are calling for violence against people who aren't speaking out on the internet, but in real life, out on the streets. And that are following through with those calls to violence. And not even just violence against the people that they disagree with, but violence against people that just look like they might disagree with them. Violence based off of skin color, off of the way someone dresses, off of where they happen to be at the time. Now, to any sane individual, it's pretty clear cut who's in the wrong. Unfortunately, sanity is at a premium right now. Hey, Sin, how's it going? Sin says, so your view is more that because of their influence, Google is more likely to be the stable figurehead for such a practice, yes? This is basically power play for a power shift. Very true. Yeah, to a degree. It's worded kind of weird, dude. But yeah, because of the influence that they have, it's the same thing as a politician. Like if some random Joe Blow like me sits there and says something, no one's going to fucking care. But if a politician says something, then they can actually be held to that higher standard because they have more influence, because they're actually in a position to change something. Well, Google is in the same position. And because of the fact that they're taking government funding for projects, actually should, at the very least, make them have to follow the Constitution. And like in the video that I mentioned before that Dilgaf showed me, and I'll probably link it in the description once this stream is done, there's already instances of the Constitution being applied to businesses. Like directly applied to businesses. Well, if there was ever a time for it, that time is now. I'm not asking for any special privileges. I'm not asking for my videos to be put up at the top of the search relevance regardless or anything like that. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for a fair shake. I'm asking to not be hampered because someone up the chain disagrees with me. And with the latest bullshit with Google and them firing that tech for having the sheer audacity to merely disagree, to merely question their practices. Well, and to a degree where the CEO of Google cut their vacation short to come back and personally fire this individual. That shows you right there exactly what kind of place Google is. It's not a place of freedom of expression, a freedom of speech. It's a place of authoritarianism, of intimidation, of bullying. And political bigotry. And I don't say that lightly. I don't just throw out terms like bigots or bullying or intimidation lightly. In fact, I really don't use those terms very often. Because the thing is when I use them, I want you to know exactly what I mean. That I'm not just saying it to say it. That I'm not saying it for shock value. And people are getting sick and tired of this shit. Like I said in the previous stream, I cannot wait for another company to come out and just grind Google into the dirt. Because here's the thing. When you actually take a look, the people that are sitting there and vying for this censorship, vying for this power play to happen, they typically aren't the spenders. They're typically the ones that are leeching off of the system. Maybe living off of mommy and daddy's money. People that have never had to work a day in their fucking life. People that don't even really know what true hardship is. Hardship is wondering where your next meal is going to come from. It's not a cup having something on it that you dislike. It's not someone sitting there and stating a hate fact. It isn't someone saying something that makes you uncomfortable. It's having to sleep out in the driving cold because you have nowhere else to go. It's spending a night in prison because of a false accusation made against you and you being presumed guilty until proven innocent. It's your livelihood being threatened because a group of non-influential people decided to write into your employer because you said something on social media that they dislike. It's walking down the street and being attacked based off of your skin color by people that are screaming that attacking people based off of their skin color is wrong. It's not getting to see a child that you want to be in their life. Yet you still have to be financially held responsible for the raising of that child while you have no say in the raising of that child. It's having years of schooling stripped away from you based off of a false allegation that's been proven to be false. It's having a son blow his fucking brains out because of the social stigma that comes along with a false rape allegation. It's having a daughter who was raped and brutally mutilated and murdered, hacked to pieces by an illegal that had been caught 13 fucking times. It's watching a loved one die from a drug addiction because they're unable to stop the influx of drugs because of sanctuary cities. It's having to bury a loved one that was shot to death by a gang member that got black market weapons that came over the border with the assistance of people who think that the border is pointless. It's being told that you are not allowed to speak on a subject because you are the wrong skin color, or you are the wrong gender, or you have the wrong sexuality, or you're the wrong religion. That is hardship. Someone pointing out that men on average are 40% stronger pound for pound than a woman is not hardship. A professor teaching facts and you disagreeing with those facts is not hardship. Being told that you have to be held responsible for your own actions and you have to suffer the consequences for those actions and decisions is not hardship. Being forced to pay the majority of your paycheck to someone who broke a fucking contract with you and took everything that you own is hardship. Having it be said that racism cannot be fired in your direction because of your skin color not only is irony, but it is also hardship. Being passed over for a job because you're the wrong skin color or the wrong gender or the wrong sexual orientation is hardship, especially when that is a state sanctioned practice. Being told that being born the way you are automatically makes you the enemy of the world is hardship. So I'll say it again. These Black Lives Matter fucks, these special little snowflakes, BAM, the people at Google, local, state, and federal government, they don't know hardship. Having to shut down your business because you can't afford to pay your employees, because a law that only takes major corporations into consideration, driving up minimum wage, making it so that your business cannot sustain itself because of the labor is hardship. being physically assaulted in front of the police and the police not doing anything to help you is hardship. Those same police arresting you as soon as you defend yourself is hardship. It's funny that you hear all of these, for lack of a better word, people, although I hesitate to say it, hearing them talk about hardship when they've never experienced it, when they have no idea what true hardship truly is. Makes me sick. Them talking about other groups causing suffering while they themselves are causing more suffering than any other group out there. And now you got companies like Google further silencing the voices of those who are not allowed a voice elsewhere for fear of physical violence against them and inaction by the people that are being paid to protect them. And the government is just sitting back and letting it happen. The government's had no problems in the past getting involved in businesses and how they run themselves. And yet now, when it's actually warranted, when people's rights are actually being infringed, the government stays silent. The government does nothing. Yet they still expect us to pay our taxes. They still expect us to give them our money, even though they are not doing their job. And this comes fresh on the heels of net neutrality being repealed. So now, if an internet company doesn't like what you have to say, they can block the bandwidth to your site. So in that way, they can impose their own ideological, we'll say morals for lack of a better word, onto people who disagree with them. They can now silence those that they disagree with. They can now silence those that speak out against their special interest groups. And here you are, seeing it happen with Google. I, for one, refuse to remain silent. They can go ahead and they can relegate me to the corners of the internet. That's fine. And if they outright stop me from getting on the internet, then I'll shout it from the rooftops. If they tell me to come down from the rooftops, I'll come down and shout it into their face. They want to go ahead and arrest me for wrongthink and throw me in prison. I'll shake that prison down to its very foundation with the booming of my voice. And the thing that terrifies them the most is that I'm not the only one. Because the thing is that's what is commonly referred to as the American spirit. Out of all of our rights, the right that we hold most dear is our right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Because without that, none of our other rights can be enforced. So, of course, that's the first one they're going to go after. And the traitors that we have in the Senate and in Congress and in our judiciary system are allowing this to happen. Sin says, I saw a post on Twitter where someone said a trans woman cannot rape a woman because they lack power and people hate trans women more than regular women. Tell me that doesn't sound loony. It does sound loony. It's absolutely asinine. But that's the mentality of these fucking snowflakes. At no point ever be satisfied. None whatsoever. None of them will be satisfied. Not until they can sit there and point at someone and say, put that person in prison because I said so. Dilligaff in his video on this topic was talking about narcissists and how they only care about their own power and influence. And he uses that word quite often, to the point of annoyance. But in this case, I fully agree with him. This is a narcissistic mindset. And you can see the narcissism in it. It is tangible. Just look at how Black Lives Matter reacts to a white supremacist group going through and voicing their opinion. Look at Antifa and how they act. Look at BAM and its members. Look at the legal system and how it allows women to get away with things that men would have long before gone to prison for. They are trying to create a caste system broken down into such small groups that each group can easily individually be controlled. Yet they do not want to take part in that caste system. They want to always be sitting at the top, staring down at everyone else. None of these groups want equality. None of these groups want anything of the sort. And Google is no better. People say that Google is a company and it's there to make money. Well, the thing is a company like Google will make the most money by allowing more information to flow through. And here you are seeing Google openly firing this man after he said that you would be fired at Google just for questioning it. And they openly fire him. Why? Because it's them sitting there and saying, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Because they all but have a monopoly on the system. We are losing our right to freedom of speech bit by bit. And pretty soon, we won't be able to speak out enough to stop them from just tearing up the Constitution, like Obama wanted to do. This ideology that has infected our society is proving to be more dangerous by the day. Because as time progresses, they're able to weasel in more and more people into actual positions of power. And then when those people get into positions of power, they then control the narrative just that much more. And so then they can sit there and say that they hold no power, and there are fewer and fewer people to challenge them. Meaning that they can get more and more of their own into more and more positions of power. Wash, rinse, repeat. It's funny how you'll see videos get removed for quote unquote hate speech when someone brings up, statistics that involve black versus white crime ratios, violence in different ethnic groups versus white. You'll see those get removed or pushed back into the bowels of the internet. Yet you see videos of people sitting there and saying, oh, based on this one flimsy thing, white people actually technically aren't human. And you see those pushed to the front. While at the same time saying we won't tolerate racism or any bigotry. Google is a bad joke with a bad punchline. The head of the company should be ashamed. Hell, I think the head of the company should be arrested for denying an individual their God-given liberties, to denying a individual their right to speak out. And the head of the YouTube division is just as bad. Google is quickly becoming the antithesis of freedom of speech. Now the question is, what are we going to do about it? Well, the thing is the best way to fix a problem like this is to shine light on it. But that's becoming increasingly difficult because the mainstream media, if they report on it, is going to sit there and say, oh, Google stands for diversity, stands up for diversity, fires bigot. We're already seeing that. And then Google can go ahead and block people's access to alternate news websites that tell the full story, that tell the real story, that show what actually fucking happened, and that it was Google silencing dissent. Because even Google itself knows that its own policies are racist, sexist, ideologically and politically bigoted. They know that there is political intimidation happening in their company, but it's all right because the higher ups happen to be on the side of the people doing the bullying. They're perfectly okay intimidating the employees into becoming yes men. They're perfectly fine with pissing all over your rights. And yes, I said your rights. Not just as a consumer, but as a human being. Because everyone has the right to the truth. Everyone has the right to voice their concerns. Everyone has the right to voice their opinion. And then Google has the audacity to say that the people that they are stamping out, that they are silencing, are authoritarian. I swear to God, there needs to be a fucking comic book that comes out with Google cast as the villain, constantly trying to play the victim when the superhero finally comes in and knocks their teeth down their goddamn throat. I'd read that. Hell, I'd probably jerk off to it. But no, we're not going to get that. Nothing even remotely close to it. Why? Oh, because even the comic book industry is kowtowing to these SJW fucks, even though these SJWs don't buy comic books. The sales numbers show that. And why is that? Because they're leeching off of the state. They're leeching off of the hard work of the working class. They think that everyone else should have to pay for them. And they've made it known their reasoning quite recently, saying that it's for emotional work that they're doing. You heard me right. Them going out and making everyone else miserable they think that they should be paid for that by the very people that they're making miserable, by the very people that they're threatening and intimidating, by the very people that they're assaulting and killing. If that isn't narcissism, I don't know what is. Not to mention pathetic. And I would venture to say straight evil. And again, that is not something I ever say lightly. Should they be allowed to spew their bullshit? Of course. But they should not be allowed to monopolize the conversation. They should not be the only ones allowed to fucking speak. That is where I start to have an issue. I can tolerate quite a bit. But this is intolerable. And the thing is, I guarantee you that they'll consider what I'm saying right now bigoted, unfair. Yeah, me speaking out against a multi-billion-dollar corporation is me picking on the little guy. At least in their minds. These people do not live in reality. They have had lies shoved down their throats constantly throughout their lives. They haven't experienced the real world. They don't even know the fucking first thing about it. Yet they profess to know more than people who have been thrust into that world with no guidance, with no direction, who have had to make their own way. People that in 1 hour of their life have put in more effort than these spoiled little rich bastards. Like that rich bitch son of a fucking cunt that went on the fucking hunger strike. Basically throwing a huge temper tantrum because, oh, the head of a university said something that he didn't like. And what happened? People capitulated to him. If I had been the head of that university, I'd have said, have fun starving. Enjoy the weight loss. Thank you for helping reduce the American fat percentage in some small way. Because that's the only way to deal with these piles of shit, is to tell them to get the fuck over it. But the thing is when it comes to situations like this Google situation, we can't sit there and tell Google to just get over it. Yes, and I do remember when we were a strong nation. And now our nation has skin that's so paper fucking thin that a falling piece of dust decimates it. We can't say land of the free, home of the brave anymore, because there's very little freedom left in this fucking country when you actually look at it. Legally, yeah, there's a lot of freedom. But politically and socially, we're a shell of our former selves. Brave? Huh. Good luck selling that one. When you're afraid of words, brave is not the descriptive word for you. Cowardly, pathetic, weak, those words all fit much better. And Google is one of the weakest, most cowardly companies that's out there at this point. Hell, when I can compare EA favorably to Google, you know there's a fucking problem. At this point, Google deserves no trust. People need to stop saying Google it. Whenever someone tells me to Google something, I'll say, no thanks, I don't appreciate having lies shoved down my throat. Because that's what we're headed toward. Google has shown that it is more than willing to censor opinions that its little bitch butt buddies don't like. And some people will sit there and refer to it as scratching of the back. No, it's not. This isn't scratching of the back between companies. This is outright criminal. And yes, I'm saying it is outright criminal. And no, I'm not saying I think it is, because it is. This is Google outright denying people the right to express themselves freely. This is denying people the right to information. This is denying people the right to choose. Saying that Google is pathetic is such an understatement. And I feel sorry for the employees that work there that want to speak out, but just saw what happens when you speak out. When you just question the status quo. This whole political correctness bullshit has gone way too far. It went too far at the moment that it became a thing. Political correctness kills freedom. And our country is most known for freedom, so it's killing our country. It's causing poverty. It's causing hardship. It's causing disease, and it's causing death. And I am not being hyperbolic there. People are trying to tell me that I shouldn't rock the boat, that I shouldn't directly call out Google when my following is on one of their services. I disagree wholeheartedly. So if you see my channel just vanish out of nowhere, you know what happened. In fact, I'm probably going to start up a Twitter. Not really going to use my Twitter all that much. Maybe, tweet out that a video is going, that sort of thing. I'm going to start up a Twitter other than the one that I currently have. But I'll start one up for this channel. You guys can go ahead and message it. I'll go ahead and check those messages, whatever. But the thing is at least then I'll be able to reach you. So that way, when Google does decide that it wants to censor me, you'll know exactly what happened. You'll know that I didn't just delete all the videos off my channel and then delete my channel. But the fact of the matter is at this point, as much as I dislike the government getting its hands into anything, the government does need to step in at this point. It needs to apply the Constitution to companies like Google because of their sheer amount of influence that they have. It needs to apply the Constitution to internet provider companies. So that way our rights can be defended. Because authoritarianism cannot stand up against truth. It cannot get started with truth. It's always started with lies. It's always started with censorship. At this point, I really don't see any way other than the government coming in and saying, look, you are the providers of information, therefore you must provide all of the information. Obviously within reason. But companies like Google should not be able to censor anything based off of political belief. The only time that they should be able to censor something is if there is a call to violence, or if the content itself is actually illegal. That is it. They should not be able to censor something just because someone doesn't like it. If someone doesn't like it, then they don't have to view it. They don't have to consume it. It's that simple. Give the choice to the people. Don't try to make the choice for them. And I'm going to let you know right now, this is going to be a shorter stream, because right now, as far as the rage is concerned, it's actually taking its toll on me. I'm actually feeling pretty fucking exhausted at this point. but I figured I needed to talk about this, and I needed to talk about it now. Sin says he believes companies themselves should be barred from social sites. I don't think so. I don't think anyone should be barred from social sites. Not until they've broken the law. So if they're inciting violence, or if they're, pushing something like ISIS recruiting material, or if they're putting up child porn or something like that. Companies should be allowed to go onto social sites. However, what I think should not happen on social sites is they should never we can have a discussion about that at some other point, religious. Uh, we can go ahead and have that discussion at another time, Sin. But right now, what I'm talking about is the individual should never be able to be censored. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing it on Facebook. We're seeing it on Twitter. We're seeing it on YouTube. The three major social giants, all of them are censoring based off of political ideology. That's fair enough, man. It's fair enough. I'm not saying that I won't talk about it. I'm just saying right now I'm focusing more on this. It does tie in, but more loosely. And I'm trying to stay a little more on topic at this point. But when social giants and information providers are allowed to omit viewpoints that they don't like from information, that's the beginning of the end. Now, people can agree with me, they can disagree with me, they can hate me if they want. But telling me that my voice shouldn't be heard because the Anti-Defamation League doesn't like what I have to say, a group of unelected motherfuckers, you're saying that their opinion is more important than mine? Fuck you. How's that for an opinion? The No Hate Speech Foundation? Who are they to be the arbiters of what is and isn't hate speech? Is calling a white person a cracker hate speech to them? No, 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 of course not. Nope, only if you call a black person a fucking nigger. And yeah, I'm using the word right now. Because why the fuck not? I am so sick and tired of this double standard. I am so sick and tired of me being told that I should not be allowed to speak because I have the wrong opinion. That is not how our country works. That is what we fought against. That's the reason why we're a separate fucking country. The people that have fought and died for this country, you are making their deaths and tribulations meaningless. Sin. The reason why the word still hurts is because they, for some odd reason, think that they're still fucking enslaved, even though they have actually more protections and rights than anyone else. Oh no, this one isn't off topic. Sin, this one is not off topic. Because that's part of the fucking problem, is this fucking victim complex that's going on. That's the reason why I responded to your previous one about the whole trans woman can't rape a woman because progressive stack. It's fucking ludicrous. And it needs to fucking stop. How about this? Anyone hurts someone, and I mean physically hurts someone, they get punished. How about that? You attack someone, you suffer the fucking consequences of it. I am so done with this whole, oh, you can't do this, but this person can do that. And them calling that equality somehow. You can't say this, but this person can say that. Yeah, such equality. How about this? Make it illegal to specifically mention gender, race, or anything of it. Make it illegal to even imply it in any law. How about that? So that way all laws apply equally. They have to at that point. I think that that's about as fair as you can get. Homo Biker, you can go ahead and you can feel free to troll. It's just that this stream and the last stream, they're both kind of serious because this is kind of a serious topic. Typically, I don't have a problem with people coming in and trolling. I mean, be prepared for me to troll back, but, you know, as long as you're cool with that, we're good. But, yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end the stream. But yeah, at this point, we have to shine a fucking light on this, and we have to show that it's not acceptable, that it's wrong, and we have to make it abundantly clear that companies that do this will stop getting our patronage. So that's the only way that the point's going to get across, because right now, these scumbag little spoiled brat cucks are telling these companies that if these companies don't capitulate to them, that their sales are going to drop, when that is a fat fucking lie. That's the reason why if a company whose product I could even have the slightest fucking interest in tells these social justice warriors to go fuck themselves, I will start exclusively buying from them, even if I have to pay a few extra dollars for it. And this is coming from someone who's part of the working poor class. But this is definitely something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed now because it's going to be too late to address it later. Anyone who's watching this, I highly recommend that you write in to your local politicians and tell them that you want the government to go ahead and say, yeah, no, the Constitution says no on this. And you may be a private business, but that does not give you the right to trample on the rights of your employees. No company should ever be able to make a practice that goes against the Constitution at any fucking point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the stream. I'll probably do a stream tomorrow and I'll welcome people in to go ahead and talk. It's of course not going to be about this. I've already beaten this to death. So, I mean, if someone does want to talk about it, you can go ahead, leave a comment, or you can go ahead and, you know, jump into the next stream that I have. But of course, that means you got to be here. So, yeah, I'll probably do a stream tomorrow. If I don't do one tomorrow, I'll do it the next day. But yeah, I'm definitely kind of upset about this, and everyone that's watching the stream, everyone who's not watching the stream, should be upset about it as well. I don't care if you're a YouTuber, if you're a person that just watches YouTube, I don't give a fuck. The thing is your right to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and freedom to information is at risk at this point. It is right now being trampled upon, among other rights that you have. And if you're not outraged at your rights being trampled on, then maybe, just maybe, you don't deserve them. You have to appreciate what you have. And that means defending it when necessary. Well, the time has come to defend it. Obviously, keep it civil, because right now it's still a possibility to keep it civil. Never let anyone tell you what you can and cannot say. Never let anyone tell you what you can and cannot feel, what you can and cannot think. And if you feel like expressing yourself, then even in a den of wolves, do it without fear. On that note, have yourselves a great day, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.